Hey EJ, taking a look at this, going to give you a little bit more critique in detail. I know we spoke about it briefly, kind of like a higher level in our one-on-one time, but yeah, I'll just break this down shot by shot, section by section. You know what I mean? We'll take a look. So I'll just talk about this first shot here and the performance that we have going on, which is cool. I feel like this is like, the most resolve kind of thing. I would love to see everything kind of like keyed on the same frame. Like there's some like wiggliness happening out of this right hand here in this bit. And then when we're trying to go to it, I don't know if this is supposed to be a new pose or if those are just some leftover keys. But if this is going to be a new pose, I want to see like the thought put in to like between this pose here, if this is like the center of gravity. I know I say that a little every time, almost every review. Like what is happening to the center of gravity between this pose and this pose, right? I imagine we'd start to see a little bit of a pivot happening here in the torso. Maybe it drops down a little bit here in the center of gravity, as like if this leg is starting to receive more of the weight, then we're going to see also like this hip starting to be pushed up. You know what I'm saying? So like all of these things should kind of be represented. And then also like this screen hand maybe is being moved from here, like starting to go out, to get like planted near the wall or near the corner, right? And then we want that hand to like live there, almost like that's like their guiding unit of measure in their head, where how not to poke out too far. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah, and then we're getting into this one. So yeah, and also just like the more breakdowns you can get, the more, once you get like solid keys, then the more descriptive all this becomes. You know what I mean? This looks really great. It'd be cool, if you had that hand kind of planted or whatever, like wherever this arm winds up, as being like their guide for like how far they can go before they're going to be exposed. Peeking around this corner, you can see probably in your reference that you do something very similar. You know what I mean? Like this hand kind of is like a guide to see about peeking, which is really cool. And then here, you can see that your face returns like pretty quickly away from that, where like your character is still kind of looking off into no man's land. I think this is, the head should be one of the things that like leads this like retreat here. You know what I mean? It should be. And it's also an opportunity for your audience to like connect, to like reconnect with the character, kind of like losing her face. This is a horrible drawing, and a horrible head angle and all that. Ugh, I'm gonna delete it. I can't live with it. I can't live with it. It's too awful. I'm supposed to be a professional. Let's be professional then. But it would be, the angle is what I had wrong. Hopefully. Anyways, you don't need perfect drawings to understand this concept, so I don't want to waste both of our times, but you understand what I'm saying, like offsetting parts of the body and leading. Because going from like this to this almost looks like she's scared or whatever. That's okay. But maybe on this coming back, we start really paying attention to the y-axis of her cog, because this feels kind of even. And then this this feels like really elevated. So, maybe we need more of a swoop up, right? So I want you to consider first like the cog and the core of what her body's doing, and then the neck and the head, and then consider what all of these limbs are doing and try to like build that into your poses. All right, moving along to the next shot here. I gave a little bit of feedback here on how to stage this to control where your audience is looking. So step one should be dropping the head to look at her belt, because that's going to tell your audience, hey, we're about to look at the belt here, so that's where I need your attention to be. Step 2 is going to be kind of like to get the hand up in an anticipatory position once we have our audience's head. And it doesn't have to be like one, totally done, the other, totally done. But it should be like number 1 is the biggest thing moving at the time. Then 2, we focus the audience's attention down on the hand. You know, is there a little finger wiggle? Is there a little, you know, does the wrist go from like down here to flipping up to this pose? Like maybe that's what's focusing our audience on the hand position. And then 3, now that we have the audience's eye exactly where we need it, we're going back into the belt and grabbing an item, whatever that may be. So that's kind of how this shot has to go to make sure the audience is reading what we're doing properly. And then we don't even have to finish this move of pulling the grenade out. We could just start pulling the grenade out like here, and that's probably good enough. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying cut it this short, because you're going to have to evaluate how long it's going to take you to get through steps 1, 2, and 3. But we don't need to finish this action of this thing being pulled out, because if we're cutting like around here on this pose, maybe not at this timestamp, but on this pose, then you can cut into this next shot, having that action complete and like bringing it up into frame. I would suggest again that we like get a closer camera look at this, so that we're really showcasing what this item is and making sure the audience can like clearly read it. And then we're going to go into a shake here. And I think I talked about how this torso move doesn't feel authentic or realistic when you're shaking stuff. You may want to do some kind of reference of yourself shaking up a thing, and like really pay attention, like what's happening to your center of gravity, what's happening to your rib cage as you do like an action like this, right? Like how much motion is transferring through your arm into your rib cage and center of gravity and all that stuff. Because this feels like your neck and head are totally locked to your torso. So these don't feel like fully resolved poses. You know what I mean? This feels like it was done just kind of like super quickly and not really like, you're going to get in trouble. What I'm trying to do is make sure that you don't get in trouble if you just hit the spline button on something like this, because it's not gonna look correct at all. Okay, this wind up to the throw is pretty cool. If you have reference of this too, I would love to see it posted in this shot somewhere. We can kind of, because she comes over here and then just straight up, and then she kind of throws it. She doesn't really like lead with anything. She doesn't trail with anything. So if you have reference of this, it would be maybe super helpful for you to observe like what is your body actually doing when you do this, right? Like when you start this throw, maybe what's actually going to happen is like maybe this moves and rotates a little bit, and what's happening is like your chest is really leading it, or maybe the top of your spine is like dragging, you know, as you like kind of load up the core of the body. And then once you get here, you know, the chest is the thing that leads. And I'm making all this up. I have no idea. What I would do if I had to do this shot is I would look at reference either of myself or people throwing projectiles to see like what really happens. And maybe now like the center of gravity starts really dropping down in space as our chest kind of like reaches where it needs to go to like make this whole action happen, you know? So maybe it's much more like this than what's happening right now, which is I feel like we have, I feel like we have this going on, and it's just kind of just sliding over with a slight rotation, but I'm not feeling like any progression of the force happening between, like here, you know, between the pelvis or the center of gravity and the rib cage. So I think that this would really benefit from like a carefully observed or referenced kind of thing. Oops. You know, it's just talking about like what moves first, what drags, what overlaps, like where's the force coming from. These drawings are just a guess, and they don't appear to be correct to me if I play through it. So I would really like either watch yourself performing this action or someone else, you know, like does the arm go first or last? Is the throw motivated by the core, by the arm? Like where's the force coming from in this? So that kind of mechanical soundness is going to be like really, really important to this kind of thing. Okay, so yeah. And then this, yeah, this is all just going to be like building the poses, getting the timing right, getting the mechanics, all this right. But I feel like this is largely done with the arms, so it's like, it's fine that the core and neck and head are kind of all still. I think that's fine, but we got to like get through all these motions and hand poses and everything like properly and get them attached properly and all that, and then yeah, then you're off to the races. So keep trying to find as much time as you can to put into this to like kind of get caught up to where you need to be. And yeah, I look forward to seeing your progress in the next class.